Hi everyone, today is going to be a double feature, because the two games I'm going to talk about, Galaxy Tales Story of Rapunzel and The Ramsey, are both from the same developer IKINAGAMES. I think both these games are pretty solid and most importantly also a lot of fun. I would rate them equally, and that's why I came up with the idea to just review them both in the same video. I could make it a triple feature even, because I saw another game by IKINAGAMES that looks really appealing to me called Telebit, but I haven't got to it yet, so maybe I will review it in the future. Anyways, let's start with Galaxy Tales Story of Rapunzel. A very charming action platformer with fun level design and a fair difficulty curve. In this game you play as an android called Rapunzel, and she can use her hair to do all kinds of crazy moves. I wouldn't mind a more challenging experience personally, but this makes it really easy to recommend if you just want to have a fun time with a solid 2D platformer. The story is pretty easy to follow. You are accidentally woken up by a cute alien called Rose, and now it's all about escaping this place and getting rid of the space pirates that invaded this environment. At the start of each level you have a short cutscene that expands the story a bit, but it's all about the gameplay in my opinion. There are 7 worlds or chapters, and all of them have 4 levels and 1 boss fight as the 5th level. It's a very linear experience with a basic structure, but it never gets boring or repetitive because the levels aren't overly long and each chapter introduces you to some new gimmicks and hazards that increase the difficulty gradually. I wouldn't say I was blown away by the level design per se, but for such an unknown game, it's really well done. There are enough sections that have pretty tense but also creative platform challenges, and combined with the great presentation and fluid controls, it's a really solid experience that deserves a lot more attention in my opinion. Rapunzel makes a noise with every move she does, and it's a bit annoying in the beginning, but you get used to it pretty quickly, and if you don't, you can just turn down the volume of the sound effects a bit more. It suits her character though. She's really playful and doesn't see the danger she's in. It's all a fun exercise for her. This lightheartedness makes the gameplay less frustrating and just a fun time. Sure, you do have some extra challenges, like these optional collectibles that are sometimes a bit hidden and offer you a slightly difficult parkour section, and as a reward for collecting all of them in a level, you get a bit more backstory about Rapunzel's origin, and not to forget the boss fights at the end of each chapter. Especially the last 2 fights are pretty challenging. The second to last has a pretty interesting gimmick that forces you to control 2 Rapunzels at the same time, but one of them is in the background, and most of the time desynced, and if you get hit as the background one, you get reset to a default spot. It's a very frustrating fight, but I admire the creativity. I hated the final boss though. It was challenging because there was some RNG involved. But that's the only main issue I had with this game. The lightheartedness and the solid gameplay makes this game for me, and the same goes for The Ramsey. The Ramsey is a less linear experience, because it has some Metroidvania elements, like a non-linear structure, and you unlock new abilities so you can go back to an area and reach new places. But it's not a giant interconnected world, so that's why I can't call it a full-fledged Metroidvania. That didn't spoil the fun for me though, because that same lightheartedness of Galaxy Tales is back in this game. In The Ramsey you play as a cute but very confident squirrel instead of an android, but you do have the same characteristics to be honest. The story is a bit more fleshed out, but once again, for me it's all about the gameplay. Your main way of traversal and combat is this cotton gun. You shoot an enemy or specific looking walls with this gun and you create a platform for yourself that you can bounce on. It's a pretty simple concept, but it's just really fun. And the new abilities you unlock along the way make sure this core mechanic remains fresh and enjoyable. I do had some issues with the hitbox of your gun during some platform sections, but with a bit of exploration you can unlock a certain perk that nullifies the damage by spikes or lava, so this only became a minor nuisance. This is another 2D action platformer that is just charming from start to finish and easy to recommend if you are looking for a casual experience. It does have some difficulty spikes. Like I said, some platform sections are a bit annoying because of the pretty precise hitbox of the cotton gun. And once again, some boss fights can be pretty challenging, especially at later stages in the game. There is some RNG involved in some fights, and this can make them a bit frustrating. But don't expect to be hours stuck on a boss fight. I think only a few bosses took me a couple of tries to beat them, but I can't say I enjoyed them that much or found them memorable. Nevertheless, both these games are for sure worth your time if you love 2D platformers. They offer a casual but very solid experience, and their lightheartedness managed to charm you the whole way through. Are these games masterpieces? No, not really. But they are for sure very underrated and deserve a lot more recognition if you ask me. I'm pretty critical when it comes to this genre. I have played a lot of these games and so many of them can look great, but they disappointed me with certain design choices or their gameplay didn't feel solid. But that's not the case with these two games. Once again, they are not perfect. Both have some flaws here and there, but they are for sure a lot of fun, and that's what matters the most. I highly recommend both Galaxy Tales, Story of Rapunzel and The Ramsey if you are looking for some very enjoyable 2D platformers that will keep you entertained for a couple of hours. Both of them took me like 3 to 4 hours to 100% complete. So maybe they are a bit pricey for how short they are, but you should definitely check them out when they are on sale. So be ready to play as a quirky android or a very confident squirrel and overcome all kinds of crazy obstacles in these two underrated gems.